Yes, I hear you Marine Devil Dogs out there. You are fired up. So we're gonna turn up this motivation this morning because I need to get motivated this morning. I'm nervous. I'm up here, my first time doing this. Actually, we only had one rehearsal yesterday, and it seems quite different because there's actually people in the chairs today. So, when I say motivated, you say dedicated. Motivated. Dedicated. Motivated. Dedicated. When I say dedicated, you say motivated. Dedicated. Motivated. Oh my God, that is exactly what I needed to get the show started. So, good morning, UMUC graduates, distinguished guests, faculty members, President Javier Mieres. Yes, I can roll my R's, I'm Puerto Rican. And most importantly, out of all the family and friends that have been here today, that took time out of their schedule to show up, which is very important. It has been quite a journey. We couldn't have done it without you. I want to thank all the active duty members. I want to thank all the veterans, past and present, but I want to take a moment to remember a few of my friends that didn't make it back, so I'm going to read their names. PFC Leroy Sandoval Jr., PFC Brandon C. Sturdy, Lance Corporal James B. Houston, PFC David P. Burridge, Lance Corporal Lamont N. Wilson, Lance Corporal Quinn A. Keith, Lance Corporal Michael J. Allred, Corporal Joseph C. McCarthy, Corporal Mick R. Nygar-Bukowski, and Corporal Christopher S. Ebert. They didn't make it home, but I asked God to keep them in heaven safe, and I asked God to continue to protect all of us, not just the veterans, but everybody, our families here, at home. And when you guys deploy, I know it's tough because I know I've had to deploy several times and I miss time away from my children. Both my wife and I are veterans. She's Army, I'm Marine. If there's any equation that I remember out of any mathematical problem here, it is U.S. Marine plus U.S. Army girl divided by 5 children equals a grenade. So a few months ago, when my wife graduated from UMUC, I visualized myself on this stage. I was really proud of her, by the way, and I still am, babe. I said to my wife, man, I really want to be up there and I really want to share my story because I feel that I can connect, because it's more than just the academic journey. It's more about a life journey for me. And I think the combination you'll be able to appreciate once I get into my actual speech. This is just improvised, doing some Marine stuff here. You have to see yourself doing it. Life isn't going to be easy. You're going to reach obstacles. Life is not promised. You got to fight for it. You don't want to take your dreams to the grave. So you got to fight to make a difference. So, like any Puerto Rican person, you ever seen them little Puerto Rican ladies like, mira, look, I got these pictures of my son, you know? He's so cute, right? And I wanted to show you a picture of who I once was. This is me in a detention center, probably like 1996. And I don't know if you can see it, it's small, but look at that young thug right there, right? I can't even recognize him. But a man named Brother Tim saved my life, and you'll know who Brother Tim is because I promised him that I would share his name and his faith in others with the world. Brother Tim saved my life. This was later, years later, all right? I get to pass it to my son. He showed up for me like you guys are showing up for all these wonderful graduates here today. And then because of that, I was able to survive. And this is my family today, which I love with all my heart. I live for my children. I got a poem that I always like to share with people. Hopefully you can take away something from it. The message is don't quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure turnabout when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You might succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup, and he might have learned too late when the night slipped down how close he was to the golden crown. You never can tell how close you are. It might be near when it seems far. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem the worst that you must not quit. So I carry this here with me, and it's the Puerto Rican flag. And this flag has been through a journey. A few months ago, October 22nd, my crazy Marine Corps gunny friend of mine calls me one day and says, "Hey, JC, my wife can't run past 8 miles. I need to do this run, and there's nobody else that I want with me other than you." I said, "All right, let's do this." "Well, how far is it?" He's like, "It's the Marine Corps Marathon." I'm like, "All right, well, when is it?" He's like, 2 days from now. You see what I'm saying? Don't quit mentality is gonna get you through it, whether you believe it or not. I can attest to that because when I ran for 26.2 miles holding this flag with a little boombox playing tunes here, the whole way with my good friend up there, we stuck together. We didn't quit. This flag, I represented something. I represented the Marine Corps. I represented Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rico. So, I want to tell you a little bit more about this flag. This flag also came with me to Puerto Rico. I took it with me when I went on my journey to help others out there. I linked up with other veterans out there, Veterans Disaster Relief Group, other awesome people who helped me just fulfill my mission, and it was to help and serve others. But the flag has history, and it stands for something, and it stands for resilience. I learned something while I was in Puerto Rico. I learned that the people are just so resilient and are willing to survive. So I took something away from that, and I continue with my journey. But it hasn't always been success. What you see in front of you is failure, right? You see success, I see failure, but it's a failure in a good way because I finally have accepted my failure, and because of it, I have done great things. So here's my story. Success is failure turned inside out. For many years, I struggled with accepting defeat. I was ashamed of who I once was. A born and raised New Yorker, raised in the ghetto. A Puerto Rican with only 3 options in life: jail, drugs, or death. I was a middle school dropout with no moral support. There was no father figure in my life to set me straight. My mother suffered from depression and took more pride in stacking garbage into a tiny studio apartment. It was a place I dreaded calling home. I never had my own room. My bed was a pile of garbage infested with rats and roaches. Today, we know this illness as hoarding. These conditions forced me to the streets, and if I continued down this path, I would soon become a product of my environment. For 3 years of my life, I was institutionalized into a juvenile system where I was beaten and abused day in and day out. I bear scars of a memory I can still see today. For the first time in my life, I quit. I lost hope, and I never thought that I would have ever had a chance, so I stopped trying. One day during the cold winter of 1996, my life changed. A man named Brother Tim Jones filled the shoes of a father. When I look back 21 years later, I can proudly say he saved my life. Brother Tim is a dedicated Franciscan. They are a group within the Catholic Church who emulate the life and ministry of Jesus Christ. In short, they give up everything to serve others. When Brother Tim first walked into my life, he never cast judgment. He never made me feel apart. He was always a genuine, kind-hearted, and loving person. He listened to me, and before I knew it, one visit turned into many. When I was at my lowest, Brother Tim showed me compassion and believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Brother Tim got me into a GED program which I successfully completed in 1997. This was my golden ticket out of the ghetto, a new milestone in my life that opened up the doors to a future I would have never imagined. Meeting Brother Tim wasn't just about finding a lifelong friend. You see, every time he showed up for me, I learned a life lesson. I learned how to love again. I learned how to be compassionate. And finally, I learned that if you believe in yourself, you can achieve greatness. I always told Brother Tim that I would tell the world about him, so I dedicate this achievement to you. I love you, bro. I always dreamed of becoming a U.S. Marine, but with the amount of education I lacked, there were setbacks that prevented me from reaching that goal. I was my own worst enemy. I failed the military aptitude test not once, not twice, but 4 times. And I finally met a recruiter who directed me to college. He says, son, if you want to get into my beloved Marine Corps, you better get your behind back into college, go to school, and bring back 15 credits. I thought about this for a while, and when I finally came to terms and said to myself, I will succeed, this does matter to me, and nothing is going to stop me. It was at that moment that I discovered my ability to commit to something and see it through. I used to work at the World Trade Center, and when terror struck the Twin Towers, I was there to help New York City when it most needed me. It is a day I will never, ever forget. My commitment now turned into determination, so I enlisted into United States Marine Corps, and I served my country in a time of war. Who would have known that young man with no options will one day be out saving the world? I look back and say to myself, there is no such thing as coincidence. There is only purpose, faith, and determination. You see, in order to succeed, thank you. You see, in order to succeed, you have to start with believing in yourself. Chipping away at school since 1999 has seemed like an eternity, but it has been well worth the ride. I am here today looking at defeat and saying thank you for shaping me into the man I have become. I remember attending UMUC courses while stationed in Afghanistan, rockets flying overhead and exploding just a few hundred meters from our location. I look back at UMUC staff with such admiration for their selfless acts of courage. They put their own lives at risk so that people like me could get an education and make something of myself. I am forever grateful for the people in my life who helped me along the way, for if it wasn't for you, I would never ever be able to tell my story. Today I am no longer ashamed of whom I once was. Today I know that I was supposed to make it through the storm. Today I am here to tell you that you can change for the better. You can endure more than you think. It just has to matter to you. As a father to 5 beautiful children, Nikaya, Jonathan, Darius, Hannah, and my baby girl, Sophia, and a husband to another beautiful veteran, Tamika Joy of my life, Perez, I say thank you for sticking by my side, and I love you. Thank you, Brother Tim, for inspiring me not to be better than anybody else, but to be better than the person I used to be. Thank you, UMUC, for providing me with the opportunity at home or abroad to follow through with my commitment to succeed. Today I walk in memory of my brothers that never made it home from the war. I walk for Puerto Rico. I walk to bring awareness. I walk to tell a story that will inspire not just my children, but to tell a story that will plant a seed of hope and bring change. So I leave you with this. Never give up on your dreams. The goal is closer than you think, even when it seems far. We just have to push through the storm.